They say trust is earned, not given. I gave mine away like candy to a child, swallowed whole by the tropical warmth of a foreign land. She took my hand, a whisper of jasmine and a promise in her touch, and showed me how to move to music I'd never heard before. I thought I was teaching her about love, a second chance in paradise. Turns out she was teaching me goodbye, a lesson etched in every silent beat of my broken heart. If you like our videos, please subscribe and comment on where you're watching from. This one's going to hurt. It's the confession before the storm. I'm standing in her small apartment in Cebu, watching her move to some Filipino song I can't understand. Her hips sway like she's talking to the music, and I'm frozen by the doorway, like an awkward teenager at his first school dance. My palms are sweating, and I can feel the flush creeping up my neck. I feel ridiculous. A man my age, a man who built a career and raised a family, standing here utterly lost. I should just turn around and leave, go back to my air-conditioned hotel room and pretend this never happened. But something holds me, a pull I haven't felt in years, a tiny spark of something like curiosity or maybe, just maybe, hope. My chest feels tight, not from exertion but from the unfamiliar emotions stirring inside me. I haven't felt this vulnerable, this exposed, since before Janet left. It's a terrifying, exhilarating sensation. "Come here, Edward," she says, extending her hand. Her voice is soft, a gentle invitation that cuts through my self-consciousness. "I teach you?" I hesitate for a moment, my mind racing with all the reasons I shouldn't, all the reasons this is a bad idea. But then I look at her, really look at her, and something in her smile, a genuine warmth that seems to bypass all my defenses, pulls me forward. This is Elena. 28 years old, she works at a resort where I've been staying for 3 weeks. I'm 62, recently divorced, and I came to the Philippines to figure out what the hell I'm supposed to do with the rest of my life. I had no plan, no destination, just a desperate need to be somewhere else, anywhere else, but the wreckage of my old life. I felt adrift, a ship without a rudder. And then Elena appeared, a quiet beacon in the chaos. She takes my hands, her touch surprisingly firm, and places them on her waist. I can smell her shampoo, something tropical and sweet, like jasmine and coconut. It's a scent that instantly wraps around me, pulling me closer to her, to this moment. The softness of her skin against mine sends a jolt through me, a sensation I haven't felt in what feels like an eternity. For the first time in 2 years since Janet left me, I feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. It's a comfort that settles deep in my bones, a quiet sigh of relief that I hadn't realized I was holding. My breath hitches slightly, a mixture of nerves and an overwhelming sense of belonging. My mind, usually a cluttered mess of regrets and anxieties, is blessedly quiet. "Follow me," she whispers, her voice barely audible over the music. "Don't think so much." Her words are a revelation, a simple instruction that cuts through all the noise in my head. And I don't think, I just move. My feet are clumsy, my movements stiff, but she guides me patiently, gently. I stumble, I step on her toes, I feel completely out of my depth. But she just smiles, her eyes crinkling at the corners. Her patience is a balm, a stark contrast to the constant criticism I'd grown accustomed to. And for 5 minutes, dancing in her tiny living room with the fan spinning overhead, its rhythmic hum a counterpoint to the music, I forget that I'm a broken man who lost everything back in Florida. I forget the sting of Janet's words, the ache of my children's distance. I forget the endless, suffocating loneliness in Elena's arms, even if only for a few fleeting moments. I am whole again, I am alive. Let me back up. 3 months before that dance, I was sitting in my empty house in Columbus, staring at divorce papers and wondering if this was how my story ended. The silence in the house was deafening, amplified by the hollowness in my chest. Each signed document felt like another nail in the coffin of my past. 35 years of marriage. Gone. Just like that. It wasn't a sudden explosion, but a slow, agonizing fade, like a dying ember. The respect of my children, the quiet admiration I'd thought I earned, vanished with her too. They saw her pain, not mine, and I couldn't blame them. Janet had always been better at expressing herself, at drawing empathy. I had just retreated. My world had shrunk to the 4 walls of that house, a prison of my own making. "You stopped living years ago, Edward," she'd said, her voice devoid of emotion, like she was stating a simple fact. "I can't watch you disappear anymore." Her words had stung, not because they were cruel, but because they were true. I knew it, I just hadn't known how to stop. So I disappeared completely. I sold the house, every corner filled with ghosts of a life that no longer existed, and bought a one-way ticket to the Philippines. I hadn't even looked at a map. I'd heard other guys at work talk about it. Cheap living, warm weather, friendly people. It sounded like an escape, a place where I could just exist. I wasn't looking for love. I was looking for a place to exist quietly, to fade into the background, to finally be truly alone, just as Janet had accused me of being for years. I just wanted peace, a stillness that would quiet the constant hum. The resort in Moalbal was perfect, small, family-run, right on the beach, with the sound of the waves a constant, soothing rhythm. It was a world away from the manicured lawns and forced smiles of my old life. The air was thick with the scent of salt and blooming flowers, a welcome change from the sterile emptiness of my house. Elena worked the front desk. Every morning she'd smile, a genuine, uncomplicated smile that reached her eyes, and ask how I slept. Every evening she'd recommend places to eat, her recommendations always spot on, leading me to small local eateries where the food was authentic and the people welcoming. Her presence was a gentle constant, a subtle shift in the landscape of my isolation. "You seem sad, Mr. Edward," she said one day, about a week into my stay, her voice soft, almost a whisper. She looked at me with an empathy I hadn't encountered in years. "Philippines is supposed to make you happy." I laughed, a rusty sound that surprised even me. "I'm working on it," I admitted, the truth of my struggle laid bare for her. "Maybe you need a friend," she said, her eyes meeting mine, a directness that disarmed me. "I show you real Philippines, not just tourist places." Her offer was so unexpected, so kind, that for a moment I didn't know how to respond. It was the first outstretched hand I'd encountered in so long. That weekend she took me to her cousin's birthday party in the mountains. It was a whirlwind of noise and laughter and vibrant colors, extended family everywhere, kids running around like joyful hurricanes, old men playing cards with fierce concentration. The air vibrated with life, with a sense of community that I had never truly known. I felt more at home in 3 hours with strangers than I had in my own house for years. It was a feeling of belonging that was both startling and deeply comforting. "You fit here," Elena said, squeezing my arm gently as we watched her nieces perform a traditional dance, their movements fluid and graceful. "You belong here." I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe that this was my new beginning, that I could finally shed the skin of the broken man I had become and truly belong somewhere. The yearning for that connection, that genuine acceptance, was almost unbearable. 3 weeks later, I've extended my tourist visa twice. I tell myself it's because I love the weather, the constant sunshine, the warmth that seeps into my bones. But really it's because of those evening dance lessons in her apartment. They've become the anchor of my days, the moments I truly look forward to. Each lesson is a little escape, a brief respite from the quiet hum of my own loneliness. I find myself counting down the hours until I can see her again, until her hand is in mine, guiding me. She teaches me the tinikling. Its intricate bamboo steps a challenge to my clumsy feet. She patiently shows me the fluid turns of the cha-cha, even some modern moves she learned in Manila before moving back home. I'm terrible at all of them, my movements stiff, my rhythm off. But she's patient. She never laughs, never judges. She guides my clumsy American feet through steps that feel natural to her, movements that are as ingrained in her as breathing. My muscles ache, my mind struggles to keep up, but I don't care. Being with her, learning from her is enough. I feel myself slowly, awkwardly, trying to find her rhythm, trying to understand the unspoken language of her body. "Your body is too tense," she says one night, pressing her palms gently against my shoulders, her touch sending a subtle warmth through me. Philippine music is about feeling, not thinking. Her words resonate, a quiet truth that I'm slowly beginning to grasp. I realize how much I live in my head, constantly analyzing, overthinking, always trying to control everything. With her, I'm learning to let go, just a little. We're getting closer. I buy her small gifts, a delicate silver necklace from the local market, the kind that catches the light just so, Dinner at the nicest restaurant in town, a place with white tablecloths and a view of the ocean. She never asks for anything, her gratitude always evident in her eyes, but she always lights up when I surprise her. Her genuine delight makes me feel seen, appreciated, in a way I haven't felt in years. It's a quiet thrill to see her face brighten. "You're so generous, Edward," she says one night, fingering the necklace I bought her, her voice soft with genuine appreciation. In Philippines we have word mapagmal. It means someone who loves easily, who gives from the heart. I feel a warmth spread through my chest at her words. To be called that, to be seen as someone who loves easily, who gives from the heart is a balm to my wounded spirit. "Is that what I am?" I ask, my voice a little hesitant, almost afraid to believe it. She kisses my forehead, a light, tender touch that feels like a blessing. "Yes, that's why I worry about you." The comment sticks with me, a small, unsettling pebble in the smooth flow of my contentment. Why worry? I push it aside, dismiss it as a cultural difference, a slight misunderstanding. For the first time in years, someone sees good in me. Why question it? Why spoil this fragile, precious thing I'm building? But small things start to register, subtle shifts in her behavior that prick at the edges of my awareness. Her phone buzzes constantly during our time together, a low, insistent hum that she always manages to silence quickly. She always steps away to answer, her back to me, her voice hushed. She mentions money problems casually, her mother's medical bills, her brother's school fees, but never directly asks for help. She just presents them as facts of her life, challenges she faces with a quiet still. "Family is everything here," she explains when I notice her sending money through Western Union, a thick wad of bills exchanged for a receipt. Her explanation is delivered with a simple sincerity. "We take care of each other. I want to offer help." My wallet feels heavy in my pocket, ready to alleviate her burden, but something holds me back, a tiny voice of caution that I can't quite silence. Maybe it's the way she changes the subject quickly whenever money comes up, her eyes flicking away, or how she never quite meets my eyes when talking about it. A quiet unease settles in my stomach. The first real warning comes on a Tuesday night. We're supposed to meet for dinner at 7, a quiet meal at our usual small restaurant by the beach. I arrive early, eager to see her, to spend another evening bathed in her presence. But she doesn't show. No call, no text. The minutes stretch into an hour, each tick of the clock echoing the growing emptiness in my stomach. I wait at the restaurant for an hour like an idiot, checking my phone every 30 seconds, my thumb hovering over her contact, my mind racing with worried scenarios. Is she okay? Did something happen? The hopeful anticipation I'd felt earlier slowly curdles into a bitter anxiety. The waitress keeps giving me sympathetic glances. I feel a blush creep up my neck. At 9, she finally messages, "So sorry, family emergency, tomorrow?" The words are brief, almost clipped. No explanation, no details. Just a quick apology and a question. I feel a pang of disappointment, but relief washes over me too. At least she's okay. I text back asking if everything's all right, if there's anything I can do. No response. I find her the next morning at the resort, behind the front desk, acting like nothing happened. Her smile is bright and easy as always. She greets me with the same warmth, the same casual friendliness. It's unsettling, this seamless transition back to normalcy. When I ask about the emergency, she's vague, her eyes darting away for a moment. "My cousin in Manila," she says, not looking up from her computer screen, her fingers still expertly typing. "Medical problem, very complicated." The vagueness, the lack of detail, pricks at me. It feels like a wall, a polite but firm barrier. "Is everything okay now?" I press, hoping for a more reassuring answer, for a hint of the concern I felt. "Yes, fine. You want to have lunch today?" Just like that, we're back to normal. The conversation is steered away, neatly, effortlessly. She's sweet, attentive, teaches me a new dance that night, a playful, energetic one, that usually makes me laugh. But something feels different. There's a distance in her eyes, a subtle veil that wasn't there before, like she's performing rather than being present. I try to shake it off, to dismiss it as my own overthinking, but the feeling lingers, a tiny, insistent whisper of doubt. A week later, it happens again. This time she disappears for 2 days. My worry this time is sharper, tinged with a growing suspicion. I try calling, texting, but there's no answer. The silence is deafening. When she returns, she has a new phone, sleek, expensive, the latest model. It sits in her hand like a trophy. "Gift from my cousin," she explains, her voice light, almost dismissive of my unspoken question. Feels bad about the emergency. The explanation feels flimsy, like a thin curtain barely concealing something larger. I don't push it. I want to believe her. I need to believe her. The alternative, the creeping thought that she might be lying, is too painful to entertain. But I start paying attention differently. My senses sharpen, picking up on details I would have previously overlooked. I notice how she screens her calls, her thumb quickly dismissing an incoming number before answering. I notice how she never leaves her phone unattended around me, always keeping it close, almost protectively. I see her talking to a man outside the resort one afternoon, young, well-dressed Filipino. They're standing close, their heads together, their conversation low. My stomach clenches. When she spots me watching, her eyes widen almost imperceptibly, and she ends the conversation quickly, a sudden, abrupt end to their intimacy. "Who was that?" I ask, trying to keep my voice casual, but I can feel the tension in my shoulders. "Nobody," she says, linking her arm through mine, her smile a little too bright. "Just asking directions." The lie hangs in the air, thin and transparent. That night, during our dance lesson, I can't focus. My feet feel heavier, my movements awkward, my mind replaying the image of her with the other man. "You're thinking too much again," she says, but her smile doesn't reach her eyes. The usual warmth is absent. "Maybe I am," I say, the words tasting bitter. For the first time, the music doesn't make me feel free. It makes me feel trapped. The rhythm that once brought me solace now feels like a cage, tightening around me. I hire a translator. Her name is Carmen, a 60-year-old Filipino woman who runs a small travel agency in town. Her eyes are shrewd, observant, missing nothing. I tell her I need help with some documents, a flimsy excuse, but she just nods, her expression unreadable. But really, I need someone who can help me understand what I'm missing, what I'm clearly too blind to see. My gut is screaming at me, but my heart is still clinging to the fantasy. "American men," she says, shaking her head slowly, a knowing look in her eyes. Her voice is low, matter-of-fact, always thinking with heart, not head. Her words are like a gentle accusation, a statement of a universal truth I'm only now beginning to comprehend. I feel a flush of shame creeping up my neck. I show her Elena's social media, the carefully curated photos, the snippets of text that I couldn't understand. I ask her to translate some posts, my voice barely a whisper, dread coiling in my stomach. What she tells me makes my stomach drop, a cold, sickening plunge. This girl, she talks about supporting her family, yes, but also about her boyfriend in Cebu City. Recent posts, the word hangs in the air between us, heavy, concrete, undeniable. Boyfriend. It's a punch to the gut, a betrayal so sharp it takes my breath away. My vision blurs for a moment, the cheerful office around me fading into a hazy background. "Boyfriend?" I manage to stammer, the word tasting like ash in my mouth. Carmen's expression softens, a flicker of pity in her eyes. "Mr. Edward, many young Filipino women, they have complicated lives. Boyfriend for love, foreign man for security, not always meaning to hurt, but..." She trails off, her voice gentle, but the unspoken truth hangs heavy in the air. The unspoken truth is that I was a means to an end, a source of income, a temporary solution. I can't finish the conversation. The words are too much, the reality too painful. I stand up abruptly, my chair scraping loudly against the floor, and walk out, leaving Carmen calling after me, her voice a distant echo of concern. The sounds of the bustling street outside are a cacophony, each noise magnified, jarring. I feel exposed, foolish, a naive old man who fell for a pretty face and a few kind words. The tropical air that once felt so comforting now feels stifling, pressing in on me. That night I confront Elena as gently as I can, my voice strained, my heart pounding against my ribs. We're in her apartment, the same room where she first taught me to dance, the memories of those innocent moments now tainted, twisted into something ugly. The air is thick with unspoken tension, the silence punctuated only by the distant sounds of the city. "Elena, can I ask you something?" My voice is barely a whisper, a stark contrast to the storm brewing inside me. She's painting her nails a vibrant fuchsia, her movements precise, not really paying attention to me. Of course, she says, her voice casual, dismissive. Are you seeing someone else? Her hand freezes, the nail polish brush poised mid-air. For 5 seconds neither of us breathes. The silence stretches, a thick, suffocating blanket. The air crackles with unspoken words, with the weight of my question. Why you ask this? Her voice is flat, devoid of its usual warmth. I need to know where I stand. My voice is laced with desperation, a plea for honesty, for clarity. She sets down the nail polish, a small clinking sound that seems to echo in the quiet room, and looks at me directly for the first time in weeks. Her eyes are unreadable, a blend of guardedness, something I can't quite decipher. Edward, you are special to me, you know this. Her words are a familiar comfort, but they ring hollow now, stripped of their former meaning. That's not what I ask. My voice is firmer now, my resolve hardening. Philippines is not America, she says finally, her voice low, almost defensive. Relationships are different here. Different how, I press, my frustration mounting. I need a clear answer, something tangible to hold on to, even if it hurt. She doesn't answer. Instead, she turns on the music, the same gentle, melodic Filipino song that was playing the first night I was here. The irony is not lost on me. It feels like a cruel trick, a desperate attempt to rewind time, to erase the uncomfortable truth. Dance with me, she says, extending her hand, her eyes pleading, trying to pull me back into the comfortable illusion. Don't. The music, which once felt like a bridge between us, now feels like a barrier, a reminder of the deception. I don't want to dance, Elena. I want the truth. My voice is raw, tinged with a pain I can no longer hide. She drops her hand, her shoulders slumping almost imperceptibly. Truth is, you are good man, kind man, but you come here running from something, and I have life here, real life. Her words are a sharp, brutal clarity. They cut through the fog of my denial, leaving me exposed. What does that mean? My voice is a desperate plea for more, for something, anything that makes sense. She looks sad now, genuinely sad, a flicker of regret in her eyes. It means I care for you, but I cannot be only for you. The words hit me like cold water, a shock to my system. I realize I've been living in a fantasy, a carefully constructed illusion, believing that 3 months of evening dances and Sunday dinners meant the same thing to her, that they meant. I was so desperate for connection, I ignored every red flag, every subtle sign that I was merely a fleeting chapter in her complex life. What am I to you? The question is a desperate last attempt, a final plea for definition, for some small measure of validation. She looks sad now, genuinely sad, her gaze holding a weight of regret that I, finally, recognize. You are, friend, good, friend, but Edward, you want to save me from my life. I don't need saving. Her words are a final, devastating blow, dismantling the last vestiges of my self-deception. I wasn't a savior, I was just another Mark, another man looking for a fantasy. I don't sleep that night. I sit on the balcony of my hotel room, the cool night air doing little to soothe the churning in my stomach. The sounds of the ocean, usually so calming, now feel like a mocking reminder of everything I thought I had found. I watch the sun come up over the ocean, a slow, agonizing ascent that mirrors the dawning of my own painful realization. I'm trying to figure out how I got here again, how I managed to repeat the same mistakes, to fall into the same trap. 52 years old when Janet left me, a broken shell of a man. 62 now, and I'm still making the same mistakes, still chasing after illusions, still desperate for a connection that isn't real. The shame washes over me, a bitter, suffocating wave. The next morning, Elena acts like our conversation never happened. She's at the front desk, bright smile, asking about my breakfast, her voice as cheerful and uncomplicated as if nothing had transpired between us. It's a performance, I realize, a flawless act of professional politeness. My stomach clenches. You want me to arrange island hopping today? She asks, her voice light. Nice weather for boat trip. I stare at her, amazed at how easily she can switch back to the role of helpful resort employee, her personal life neatly compartmentalized, invisible to the casual observer. It's chilling. No, I say, my voice flat, devoid of emotion. I think I'm done with trips. I avoid her gaze, the effort of maintaining a polite facade almost unbearable. For the following week, I watch her differently. My eyes are now open, seeing the patterns, the subtle cues I had dismissed before. I see how she interacts with other guests. The same warm smile, the same personal attention, the same subtle suggestions of cultural immersion. There's a German man, maybe 50, who arrived 3 days ago. He's already offering to show him real Philippines, her voice a familiar song of invitation. It's a bitter replay of my own experience, unfolding before my eyes. I start spending time with other expats in town, drawn to their world-weary cynicism, their jaded wisdom. Bob, a retired teacher from Australia, has been living here for 5 years. He's seen it all, his eyes holding a lifetime of stories. "You look like shit, mate," he says over a beer one afternoon at a dusty open-air bar, his voice gruff but kind. "Feel like it too," I admit, the words a raw confession. "Let me guess. Local girl. Thought it was love, found out it was something else." He doesn't wait for my answer. I just nod, a silent acknowledgement of my foolishness. "Happens to most of us," Bob says, taking a long swig of his beer. "Filipino women are survivors, Edward. They do what they need to do to take care of their families. Doesn't make them evil, but doesn't make your relationship real either." His words, though harsh, are a strangely comforting, "Dose it real, Nigel. But put it into a broader context." "She told me I belonged here," I say, the memory of dull ache in my chest. "Maybe you do, but not in the way you thought." His honesty is brutal, but necessary. That night, I see Elena with the young Filipino man again, the one from before. This time I'm close enough to see them holding hands, their fingers intertwined, a gesture of intimacy that twists a knife in my gut. I'm close enough to see him kiss her forehead the same way she used to kiss mine, a gentle, possessive gesture that feels like a deliberate mockery. I don't feel angry, I feel stupid. The anger has been replaced by a profound sense of self-loathing, a bitter taste of regret. When I get back to my room, there's a message from my daughter, Emily. First time she's called since I left Florida. Her voicemail is short, hesitant. "Dad, when are you coming home? I know things end up badly with Mom, but running away isn't solving anything." Her words are a lifeline, a connection to the life I abandon. But I'm not ready to grab it. I delete the message without responding, the weight of her unspoken expectation too heavy to bear. I'm not ready to face her, or myself. I stop going to the resort. The thought of seeing Elena, of having to pretend, is unbearable. I find a small apartment in town, month-to-month rental, tucked away from the tourist bustle. The owner, Mrs. Santos, is a widow in her 70s, her face lined with age, but her eyes sharp and kind. She doesn't ask questions about why an American man wants to live alone in the mountains. She just observes, her quiet presence a comfort. "Are you running from something or towards something?" she asks the day I move in, her voice raspy with age but clear. Her question is direct, insightful, cutting straight to the heart of my predicament. "I'm not sure anymore," I admit, the honesty feeling surprisingly light. "Good," she says, a small knowing smile playing on her lips. Honest answer. Her acceptance, her lack of judgment, is a small balm to my raw nerves. For 2 weeks I barely leave the apartment. I order food, delivered by a quiet young boy on a motorcycle. I read books, escaping into stories that are not my own. I sleep too much, using slumber as a shield against the quiet humor. I don't respond. I can't. The wound is still too fresh. Then one evening I hear music from the apartment below mine. Traditional Filipino music, the kind Elena used to play during our lessons, the familiar melodies now carrying a bittersweet echo. But this time I'm listening as an outsider, removed from the intimacy of shared moments. The music flows into my apartment, soft and rhythmic. Mrs. Santos is teaching her granddaughter to dance. I watch from my window, hidden in the shadows as the old woman guides the girl's small feet through the intricate steps, patient and encouraging. The girl stumbles, giggles, then tries again, her movements clumsy but determined. "Feel the music," I hear her say in English, probably for my benefit, her voice carrying clearly in the quiet evening air. "Don't think so much." The same words Elena used to say to me, but watching Miss Santos with her granddaughter, I understand something I missed before. This music, these dances, they're not performances, not a means to an end. They are traditions passed down through families, expressions of culture that belong to people who grew up with them, who breathed them in with the very air. It's a connection that runs deeper than any superficial lesson. I was trying to learn the steps, to mimic the movements, but I was never part of the song. I was an observer, an outsider, trying to insert myself into a narrative that wasn't mine. I was trying to take something, not belong to something. That night, I write a letter to Emily. Not an email, an actual letter. Handwritten, the words flowing onto the paper with a quiet urgency. I think I came here to learn how to be alone, I write, my hand steady. Turns out I needed to learn how to be honest first. It's a painful admission, but it's true. I don't mail it, but writing it feels like something. It feels like a small step, a quiet beginning on the long road to self-forgiveness. It feels like I'm finally starting to find my own rhythm, even if it's a solitary one for now. 3 weeks later, I run into Elena at the market. The vibrant chaos of the market, usually a source of fascination, feels muted background noise to the sudden clarity of her presence. She's with the German man, Hans, I think his name is. They're buying groceries together, looking domestic and comfortable, a casual intimacy in their movements. The sight of them together, so at ease, doesn't sting as much as I expected. She sees me and her face lights up with what looks like genuine happiness. There's no artifice, no performance, just a simple, unadulterated pleasure in seeing me. "Edward, how are you? I miss seeing you at resort." Her voice is warm, familiar. Hans excuses himself to look at fruit, giving us space to talk, a quiet acknowledgement of our shared past. "I'm okay," I say, my voice steady, no tremor of resentment. "You look good." It's true, she does. "Thank you. You look—" She pauses, studying my face, her gaze surprisingly direct. "You look different." "Different how?" I ask, genuinely curious. "Calmer, maybe. Less sad." It's a strange observation, but I think she's right. The frantic energy that had consumed me for months has dissipated, replaced by a quiet stillness. "Can I ask you something, Elena?" My voice is gentle, a question rather than an accusation. "Of course, did you ever care about me? Really care, not just, you know." I gesture vaguely, unable to articulate the depth of my past naive hope. She considers the question seriously, her eyes thoughtful, which surprises me. There's no immediate defense, no quick deflection. "Yes," she says finally, her voice soft but firm. "I did care. You are a good man, Edward, kind man, but you wanted me to be someone I am not." Her honesty is disarming, a quiet revelation. "Who did I want you to be?" I ask, my voice barely whisper. "Someone who could fix your loneliness. Someone who could make you feel young again." She touches my arm gently, her fingers light flitting. "But I cannot fix what you bring with you from America." Her words are a sharp, undeniable truth. I had projected my own desperate needs onto her, burdening her with expectations she could never meet. It's the most honest thing she's ever said to me. It's a painful truth, but a necessary one. "What about Hans?" I ask, gesturing towards him as he returns with a bag of mangoes. She smiles, a genuine, unburdened smile. "Hans is nice man, but I don't try to fix him, and he don't try to fix me. We just enjoy time together." I realize she's teaching me something, even now, a final lesson perhaps, in the simplicity of connection, in the beauty of acceptance without expectation. "I never learned to dance, did I?" I ask, a quiet realization settling over me. She smiles sadly, a hint of genuine tenderness in her eyes. "You learn steps, but dancing is about being present, being yourself. You were always trying to be someone else." Her words hang in the air, a final, profound lesson. Hans returns with his bag of mangoes, and I can see he's a decent guy, probably going through his own version of whatever brought me here, looking for something to fill a void. "Take care, Elena," I say, the words a genuine farewell. "You too, Edward. I hope you find what you look for." As I walk away, I hear her laugh at something Hans said. It's the same laugh I thought was meant for me, laugh I've mistakenly believed with a secret language, shared only between us, but now I understand it's just her laugh. It belongs to her, not to whoever happens to be listening. It's a free, unburdened sound. And for the first time, it just is. I've been back in Florida for 2 months now. The air feels different here, crisp and familiar, lacking the humid embrace of the Philippines. Emily and I are having dinner once a week, a quiet rebuilding of something that was broken long before I left for the Philippines. There's an awkwardness sometimes, a hesitancy as we navigate the new landscape of our relationship, but also a genuine desire to connect. She doesn't ask much about my time there, and I don't volunteer details. Some things are best left unsaid or perhaps understood without words. "You seem different, Dad," she said last week, her eyes searching mine, a hint of surprise in her voice. "More present." "I'm working on it," I admitted, a small, genuine smile forming on my lips. "It's a work in progress, but for the first time in years, it feels like progress. I sold my condo, the one filled with so many ghosts, and bought a smaller place near downtown. It's a fresh start, a clean slate. Started taking salsa lessons at a community center. The instructor, Rosa, is a 60-year-old Mexican woman who has no patience for students who think too much. Her movements precise, her instructions clear and direct. "Feel the music," she tells our class, her voice firm but encouraging. "Stop trying to control it." Her words echo Elena's, but this time they resonate differently. This time, I'm listening. I'm still terrible at dancing, my feet often tangled, my rhythm still a little off. But now I know why. I was never dancing with Elena. I was performing an idea of what I thought romance should look like. The steps were always secondary to the story I was telling myself, the desperate narrative of a broken man finding a second chance. I was trying to force a connection, rather than allowing it to unfold naturally. Last week I got an unexpected message on Facebook. It was from Elena. A photo of her and Hans at some beach resort, the sun glinting off the water behind them. They looked happy, relaxed, no performance, no agenda. Just two people enjoying each other's company, their smiles genuine. "Hope you are well," she wrote. "Thank you for teaching me that kindness and love are different things." I didn't respond, but I understood what she meant. Kindness can be a gesture, a fleeting moment of warmth. Love is something deeper, something built on honesty and shared understanding, something that doesn't demand a performance. I've been thinking about trust lately. Not the kind you give away blindly, like I did, a desperate offering to anyone who seemed to offer solace, but the kind you build slowly, carefully, brick by brick, with people who see you clearly, who accept you for who you are, flaws and all, and choose to stay anyway. Trust that starts with being honest about who you are, not who you think someone wants you to be. It's a harder, longer path, but it's real. Next month I'm visiting Emily and her family in Denver. My grandson is learning piano, and Emily says he wants to teach Grandpa to play. The thought brings a quiet warmth to my chest. "Fair warning," she told me, her voice teasing. "He's not very patient." "That's okay," I said, a genuine laugh escaping me. "I'm learning that the best teachers, usually." I don't regret the Philippines. I needed to go somewhere far from home, somewhere completely foreign, to learn something that was always true, a lesson I could only truly grasp by losing myself first. You can't dance your way out of loneliness, you can't perform your way into love, but you can learn to be comfortable with your own rhythm, with your own silence, with your own truth. Elena taught me to follow her steps, but Mrs. Santos, watching her granddaughter, taught me something more important, that the most beautiful dances happen when you stop performing and start belonging, when you allow yourself to be seen, truly seen, for who you are. I'm not there yet. The journey is ongoing, and there are still moments of doubt, of quiet loneliness. But I'm learning to move to my own music, at my own pace, with my own people. And for the first time in years, that feels like enough.